What's up, Saints fans? We're here to discuss Week 17. Taking on the Falcons, breaking down the Panthers. It's playoff time. Might not be formally, but it is this week. Little McVay against Shanahan. Shanahan's won 5 straight. Yeah, we need the Rams to win that one. We'll break that one down as well. Belly dancing in the club section. Our boy Ron on the JumotRons. All that and more next on Pro Saints Talk.
Look at uptown people like yeah. People up in Britain like yeah. Mid-city folks like yeah. People downtown man yeah.
Where you at, Hoodats, and welcome to this week's episode of Pro Saints Talk. Look, they talk about the greatest generation in America surviving things like the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl. Well, the greatest generation of UTO tailgaters this past weekend survived their own version of the Dust Bowl. It was windy like all get out. Russ, you didn't do it enough justice. Dirt was flying. Beers were getting a little gritty. But the fans showed their grit, George, under the overpass. We rode it out. We tried to find as much shelter as we could behind that dang column, and ultimately got ourselves a victory in the dome, baby. George, how we living?
Ron, we're living lavish, and to hear you have to go through such extreme conditions, UTO, all I can do from the bottom of my heart is severely resent Red, the weatherman, for not properly notifying and preparing the Rons for the conditions ahead. To me, that is dangerous and negligent on our weatherman's part, and I know Russell valiantly stepped up and we appreciate it, but on his first weatherman gig, it's a big shoes to fill. He wasn't ready for that. He didn't properly. I don't belittle Russell at all. He did a great job. A little back and forth with Andrew. I was chuckling. But to me, it's like, Red, what are you doing? You're gonna kill the Rons, man. You gotta notify them, or else this could happen. Very dangerous situation, very alarming. Jay, how you doing?
No, hey, wait, no. Russ did prepare us. He said, look, it could be anywhere from muggy 70s, 80s to nuclear winter. So hey, props to Russ. But yeah, you're right, George. I mean, Red's putting us all in danger. Windburn is no joke. All right, no joke. Jay, how we doing tonight, baby?
I'm good. Feeling recharged after the trip to the mountains. John Jones came in and filled in admirably. Had to rush back to get on the show because I don't want him taking over that third spot. But had a great time up there in Western North Carolina. You guys have been up there. I feel like it's one of the best kept secrets in the United States, at least in the Southeast. I haven't been a ton of places, but I've been a good bit of places, and it's just beautiful up there. So I'm doing well, Ron.
Hey, love to hear that, man. Hey, the Saints are doing pretty well after another must win this past weekend. George, it had the vibe of the Cowboys a couple of years ago, man, especially when the scoreboard clicked over to 12-10. I was just having like flashbacks.
Third quarter, 207. Third quarter, 207, 12-10. I remember it
this
vividly.
Is like, yeah, I was like, this is like the defense is putting on a show. The offense is not turning it over, but they sure as shit can't get in the end zone. And this is just how this one's going to go. I said, if we could get it to 15-10, it's like a 2-possession ball game, it felt like. So yeah, no, the defense played outstanding. I think we have to kick it off with Cam Jordan's performance here.
Oh, let me go.
Where else do you start, George? The guy has gone from 4 sacks to 11.5 in the last 3 games.
You're cheating on my notes again, because whatever question you were going to ask me, I was going to railroad it and say, we have to start with Cam Jordan. First and foremost, we all owe Cam an apology. We wrote you off. We were in the parking lot at the retirement home trying to find you a nice suite to live in, somewhere to take care of you, someone to cook you dinner, because we thought, hey, we got an old yeller you, man. It's time for you to move on. We're counting you out. What happens? David Onyemata comes back. And then week in and week out, from Onyemata's return, Cam Jordan has gotten better and better. Now looks like peak Cam Jordan right at the right time, right when the doctor ordered, right when we need a leader on this defense to carry us into the promised land. No other person than Cam Jordan has stepped up, and we appreciate it. 3.5 sacks. 3.5 sacks last game. What more do you want out of a DN? The man's everywhere, playing great. Hey, but Kobe and Shaq, it's a symbiotic relationship between him and Onyemata. So Onyemata coming back.
And don't forget about Davenport, George.
And don't forget about Davenport. So, Jay, why don't you tell us more about that?
It would be interesting to look back and see how many of those sacks came in games where Davenport hasn't been there. George, we were having a conversation a couple weeks ago about Cam Jordan and what do you do with him and who would want him and how he would get paid. I mean, it looked to me that last year, remember, he started really slow. This year starts really slow, and then just classic Cam, and it's so welcoming to see that and much needed. But I guess we weren't giving as much credit to the lack of players that line up beside him and guys like Christian Ringo and whoever the hell's next to him at defensive tackle.
Shy Tuttle.
Yeah, Shy Tuttle when Davenport, Onyemata are out. And, man, maybe he should take more weeks off going forward in this 18-week season. I don't know if he found some HGH or something in that bye week, but he's been critical to this team's success, the defense's success, and where would we be without him these last 3 weeks?
It's got to be the antibodies, Jay. No, I mean, he's been on a tear ever since. And, yeah, maybe it was like a mini bye week for him where he got to rest up and come back fresh. But, yeah, it's definitely the pairing of the personnel. And look, let's look at the opponent as well. I mean, I think we know that the Panthers' offensive line was garbage and we were going to get after them. And that's why you got to look ahead to this week and say, man, you're licking your chops again this week. Obviously, he loves sacking Matt Ryan. I think every Saints fan knows the stat that no one sacked a single quarterback more than Cam sacked Matt Ryan. It's just perfect how their careers have coincided.
But Ron, last time we played them, they were getting rid of the ball fast. It was like that was out there in the media that the last 3 times the Saints have played Matt Ryan, they've sacked him about 20 times. But they were throwing all that underneath stuff. Russell Gage, that other receiver with I don't even know who he is, but he went off. So it seemed like it was definitely in their game plan, those quick 3-step drops, establish the run. So they're going to be looking to do that again this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the NFL. You got to self-scout. You got to know where you're vulnerable, obviously. But no, on the Cam subject still one more time here. One of my favorite plays of the game, I mean, obviously he had some clutch sacks, but, it actually came on the Panthers' lone touchdown drive. I thought it was the best play of his game. They tried to run a naked boot on him. Cam's always going to stay disciplined on that outside shoulder, puts the foot in the ground, and then comes straight down the line just like they coach you. And he freaking outran Sam Darnold to the sideline, pushed him out of bounds.
Ron, I love you for that. I called John Jones the day after to talk about the game, and that was just clearly who wanted it more. Cam obviously wanted it more than Darnold. The Saints obviously wanted it more than Darnold, and that play exemplified it. That really was a microcosm. The Saints were going to will their way to victory, whereas Darnold was just going through the motions. He didn't throw the ball away. He didn't do anything creative. He just kept jogging out of bounds, and you see Cam Jordan, much bigger than him, who shouldn't be any faster than out-hustle Darnold to the ball. Man, I love to see that. Ron, that was my first thing was Cam. Let me tell you my second thing. So we have this makeshift offensive.
Wait. Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, because this is the perfect time for a fan question from our boy, Todd Brown. If Cam Jordan keeps this up for 2 or 3 more years, is he a Hall of Famer? Bona fide.
Ron, I got you. Yeah, if he gets 11 sacks a year is what Todd's asking for the next 3 years, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. I mean, that production, what year is it, Ron? Year 11 for him?
He was drafted in 2010. So yeah.
All right, so some of the defensive ends that have gone into the Hall of Fame recently, and of course we're biased, uh, being New Orleanians, but guys like, I mean, all these guys are pretty notable names. Michael Strahan holds the single season sack record. Jason Taylor, Reggie White. So they're not a ton of them. I guess some of those sack guys are listed at linebacker. Like Lawrence Taylor had a ton of sacks. So it's not like just anybody's getting in there, right? But if he were to do this for 3 more years, I mean, he's had double-digit sacks, I think 9 out of 11 years, or at least 8 sacks 9 out of 11 years. And
I
another,
think he's got double digit sacks 6 years. I don't think it's that many. I'll do a stat check for you.
yeah, and it would be ignorant for us just to talk about him as a sacks guy, and the Hall of Fame would just hinge on his sack numbers because we all know that he brings a lot more to the team and the defense than just sacks. I mean, he's great against that run. Ron, you just referenced the Panthers drive where they had the touchdown, the lone touchdown of the game. They were purposely running that stretch play or toss play to that side whenever Cam Jordan went out. So whoever it was, George, that replaced him at defensive end, they weren't able to hold their water and turn the running back inside. And he went on to score that touchdown. So as good as he is against the pass, as we all know, he's been just as good, if not better, against the run.
Oh no, he was all over the place, making plays as the chase man too. So yeah, even when they were trying to run away from him, he was just everywhere. All right, George, I interrupted you. Where did you want to go next?
125 sacks will get you the Hall of Fame. You can look at it more than just the sack numbers, how good of a teammate he is, Super Bowl,
Okay,
playoff
so
wins.
he's at 106.
So that's the rule of thumb. If you want to really break it down, 125, 2 more years will get you right there. And he's great against the run. What's funny about Cam Jordan is he came into the NFL. If you look at a scouting report out of Cal, he only had like less than 10 sacks in Cal, like way less. He wasn't known as a sack master, and he developed all of that in the NFL. You love to see it. Love to see the what he's turning his skills into as he ages. You know, really great pros find ways to redevelop their game. Like look at guys like Kevin Love, who are just genius on how they find new ways to approach the game of basketball, versus a guy like Derrick Rose. You know, as he olds and gets beaten up, he doesn't know how to reinvent himself. But you see Cam Jordan out there reinventing himself. The point I was trying to make, I got caught up in y'all's
George,
nets. Oh,
real
God,
quick.
here we go again.
Cam's just a great dude, too. We're talking about numbers, sacks. I mean, he seems like a great husband, great dad, great in the community. I mean, really embrace New Orleans. I just love the guy equally for what he's done off the field. One of those guys that the easy sideline story, on ESPN or Fox before the game. This guy, every off day, he's doing something for the community, and that's, this city needs that as much as any other city out there. And just want to speak to the person that he is as well and appreciate him. And as they say, give him his flowers for that. Now go ahead with your offensive line point, George.
My point was the makeshift offensive line who was exposed and terrible versus the Dolphins, coming in without Ramrod, without Armstead, without McCoy, and without your boy Pete, who we love to mention is still missing from this offensive line, to come back versus the Panthers, against a great defensive end with Burns and the players they have, and really step up their game, was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, no, they played well. I mean, yeah, we were saying that the front seven of this defense had the potential to be a little stout there. I think they were still without their boy Hassan Reddick, but yeah, they did end up getting Shaq Thompson back. They got Brian Burns back. So yeah, those guys are big names. They're big threats. But yeah, you're spot on, George. I would have liked to see him run the ball a little bit better on them. You know, it still just feels like we can't really get the run game going, and it's putting so much on Taysom Hill to make the plays and convert the third downs, and it's just
Ron,
yeah.
not to interrupt you, but they got it going in the second half. But to your point, I was listening to Mike Hoss and Deuce as I was driving back from North Carolina and watched the extended highlights when I got back. I think Deuce does a tremendous job in the booth. He's just very comfortable to have the perspective of being a former player, a former great player who played for Sean Payton. I think there were 4 or 5 carries on first down in the first half where Alvin Kamara got negative yardage. And that just makes it so, regardless of who's at offensive line, and yes, they did much better in the second half, and they did better in pass protection overall. But when I saw the news that Ryan Ramczyk was coming back today, I mean, that's the most exciting Saints news that I've heard in a while. But I want to mention also the play calling. Continuously, it seemed like drive after drive, it was run Alvin, loss of 1, loss of 2, loss of 3. And like that triple option offense, you can't get behind the sticks. And does it seem to you like Sean Payton can be a little bit more innovative in this play calling, albeit with the fact that he's playing these guys on offensive line and everywhere else that aren't who you prefer to play? But it seems to me like there can be a little bit more creativity in the play calling.
George, I've got a take on this, but I want to give you the first shot at this.
Go ahead, Ron. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I think he learned his lesson from last week. I mean, I think he pushed the envelope even a little too far with Ian Book, and he even passed that little comment in his post-game press conference that was like, yeah, obviously we needed to run the ball if you were watching the same game as me, AKA I translate that to like he doesn't have confidence in the passing game. I thought we can get into this, but I thought Taysom Hill was pretty all over the board in terms of accuracy. Like, you know, he's dropping absolute dimes to Callaway, and then he's just throwing ones that are like aren't even in the same zip code, or they should have been intercepted in the breadbasket of a Panther. So, I mean, we caught some breaks. We got some bounces go our way. But, yeah, I just think he's watching the same game we're watching and is like, no. The formula right now when the defense is playing like this is you play it real tight to the vest and you just pound the run game and you just make it happen.
Well, Ron, to that point, I think Taysom only had 1 run in the first half. You know,
I can't argue with that.
You can be more creative without necessarily passing the ball, right? I mean, you can fake the inside dive, pitch it out, bootleg with Taysom, run it straight up the middle with Taysom. But it seemed like the straight up handoffs to Alvin between the tackles clearly weren't working.
No, and he's got no relief either. Like, it's not like we can spell him with anybody that can come in and provide a spark when I don't know if Ingram would have really made a difference in this one, but yeah, when you got it, like your 1 carry for Tony Jones goes for negative yards, your 1 carry for Ty Montgomery goes for negative yards, like you talked about, Jay, and it's just putting us behind the sticks. Boy, it's tough. I don't know. But yeah, so George, that is kind of getting at a fan question here is like, how do we get more wrinkles with Kamara? Because he hadn't gotten going in the last couple of weeks. And if we're going to make a run and if we're going to be that dangerous playoff team, Kamara's got to be dangerous.
Well, it comes down to anyone else other than Kamara becoming dangerous. And that is how we could do it. The fact that there's no one else they're afraid of, so they can pin their attention towards Kamara, makes it really, 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 really hard for our guy. Therefore, when you see Callaway step up, he wasn't all the way there, but he had some great flashes. He had some high highs and some low lows. If he can get that consistent pressure for the defense to have to watch him, that'll help Kamara. Like you just said, Jones Jr., if Ingram gets healthy, if any tight end on the planet Earth can step into the Saints uniform and become a threat, that'll help Kamara. Because Kamara's used to having Mike Thomas, Jared Cook, Emmanuel Sanders, you name it. He's used to attacking, being a part of an offense that can get you all these different ways. The fact that we don't have those options makes it so tough on one, Sean Payton, and two, Alvin Kamara, because they're going to say, hey, Alvin, we're going to watch you. We're not going to let you beat us. Now have Traquan Smith beat us. Now have, all these other options try to beat us. And I think the one guy who, one, versus the Falcons, and then two, in the playoffs, isn't really giving you much in the return game lately, but can be that hidden dimension, be that hidden spark, would be Deontay Harris. They're not letting him change his name yet officially, but Deontay Harris, the guy we used to know him as, if he can give you something, that'll be what could alleviate some openings or create some openings for Kamara.
And George, to that point, 3 teams that we're going to be monitoring closely this week. Look at Atlanta. They hand the ball to Cordero Patterson all the time. Look at San Francisco. Deebo Samuel's getting more carries for a receiver than ever. Look at Los Angeles and what they do with all their shifts and all their motions. You would think there would be, at this point, some wrinkle to the offense where Deontay, he's as fast as anybody on the field. No, he's not going to be like Deebo or Cordero and run it between the tackles. But let's get him involved on some jet sweeps, or at least fake it to him on a jet sweep and open up the middle a little bit. That's what I'm talking about as far as adding a wrinkle, being more innovative in the run game. Get Deontay and Alvin in the same backfield and run Deontay out in the flat and hand it to Alvin.
George, I like how you flipped that Alvin Kamara question to just put it on everybody else. But yeah, I mean, in the playoffs, right? I mean, you got to have your playmakers make plays. And yeah, Peyton has proven that he's the creative playmaker. He's got to be able to find ways to get him open, even when everybody in the building knows he's going to get the ball. I just wonder if, Jay, we have seen these wrinkles, or I feel like we've heard Breeze talk about the wrinkles get added in every week as the season progresses. How much of that is, George, maybe on the fact that we are dealing with Taysom Hill, backup quarterback? How much of that is Peyton kind of maybe doesn't have the confidence to put in new wrinkles every play when we still got to get the basics right?
Well, clickbait, okay, some of the things about clickbait is what he can do well and what he can't do well. What he can do well is make something out of nothing. And one of the things we brought up in this offseason, in this preseason, is, Breeze, he can't throw the ball downfield, but what he can do is maestro an offense beautifully. What he can do is make the symphony sound beautiful. He can orchestrate the offense. He can get everyone where they need to be pre-snap. And, hey, if there's a quick little halfback screen or a tight end bubble screen, he can make that play happen 10 out of 10 times. He's not going to hit that wide receiver 30 yards downfield anymore, but at least he'll keep the offense synchronized, which is priceless. Clickbait is the opposite. Clickbait can run past any defender. Clickbait can run over any defender. Clickbait can make good throws. Clickbait can make bad throws. Clickbait doesn't have the full mastery of his teammates and their positioning. He'll know what he needs to do, but if someone's not lined up properly, he's not going to be the guy that knows that way in advance and then fixes it right off the bat. And so when you watch clickbait play, he has these miraculous plays. But what he doesn't do, what we're accustomed to, because we've watched Drew Brees since Katrina, is orchestrate the minutia details of the offense, which add up to a priceless amount.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you. I mean, little more dissonance with Taysom, but maybe that makes the consonants that good. Um, Jay, I got a fan question here from our boy Geraldine.
Take me back to Psych 101, cognitive dissonance.
No, man, that's Coach Kaluta band right there. Come on, dude.
Coach Kaluta.
The passing game is pretty much non-existent, but hey, this is a must-win this week, and I'll just insert this one here. Like, look, Matt Ryan has shown that. Look, he can push the ball downfield with us. Cordero Patterson is like the second coming of Joey Galloway, I said earlier this year. It just feels like a thorn in our side. And so maybe this game gets into a situation where does Sean Payton allow Taysom to open up the passing game a little bit more, given the circumstances?
Yeah, I think Payton's going to play the feel of the game. I don't see much changing. Maybe with the addition of Ramczyk being there at right tackle and you get Eric McCoy back, that allows for deeper drops and maybe you see him throwing the ball more. But, if you got a pretty good sample size of what Taysom brings to you and how Sean Payton calls the game with Taysom. Taysom started now 8 games, so I wouldn't imagine in the most critical of them, that being this week against the Falcons, that you're going to see something vastly different than you've seen in the previous 8 games. And if we're throwing the ball more than 30, 35 times, it probably means that Saints are trying to play catch up. And I don't think this offense, where it is right now, lends itself to whoever's at quarterback dropping back and throwing a bunch of times.
Yeah, man, I had a little shiver there when you were talking about those deep drops. I mean, look, Ramczyk is on the injury report saying that he's limited. So potentially he's coming back. Don't know the status of Armstead. Not looking good for this week. But, like, you talk about those deep drops, and all I just think about is these tackles having to take way more steps and being that much more susceptible to that edge rush and not having, like, that poised, confident pocket presence to, like, step up in there. Yeah, man. And it's like, okay, great. You're doing the 5-7 drop, 5-step drop, 7-step drop. Who's getting open? George,
Right.
The fans are asking these same questions too. Douglas Fontaine, look, we all saw social media this past Sunday, absolutely insane, one-of-kind scene. But should the Saints sign Antonio Brown if he clears waivers?
Be careful what you wish for, my friend. Be careful what you wish for. A harmonious locker room is gold. Don't trade that in for anything. Don't trade that in for anything. I know it's like pulling teeth watching our wide receivers this year. That was kind of always going to happen in this post-Breeze era, in that not so much of these other quarterbacks making $1.15 like Drew Brees did, but the fact that we had to cut so many people because we were getting ourselves out of salary cap hell. We had to cut all these people, and a lot of those cuts came to wide receivers. So then when Michael Thomas went out, it gave us no options at wide receiver. And this is yesteryear's management issue created this. But boy, is it hard to watch, and boy, is it ugly. And I wish there was a young guy other than Callaway getting better, so at least you can say, hey, they're getting better. Hey, little Jordan Humphrey is getting better. But instead you're watching veterans like Kenny Stills suffer out there. But no, even with that being said, you don't bring Antonio Brown in. Come on, I think you're being funny. Obviously, if this is Madden and it's not going to rear its ugly head, then you could do it. But this isn't a video game. This is real life, and that's just impractical.
I'd rather bring back Joe Horn and Keith Poole than Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I think I'd rather post-op Michael Thomas, and straight off of a Twitter rant, Michael Thomas. Yeah, man, yeah.
Is he coming back for the playoffs?
Dude, no way. No one's talking about that.
I mean, how long does this dude need?
apparently has one hell of an ankle, man. They're talking about
Derrick
Derrick
Henry is
Henry.
practicing this week.
I know. Dude, I know. That's like, it's insane. Dude, Quan is playing on a freaking barely healed Achilles tear. So, yeah, I know. It's case by case. Everybody's different. But, yeah, this better be one hell of a freaking ankle injury, man. They could write a freaking medical journal about this thing. So, all right. We got to shift over to the upcoming game because you better believe it's must win. It's Falcons week. It really doesn't get much better than this. I mean, you consider all the things that we've been playing for this year, the ups, the downs, to be going into week 18. That's right, week 18. And you got a win and get in against the Falcons. George, it doesn't get much juicier than that. I mean, I'm salivating over here. I got remember to swallow here. But you better believe the defensive line, like I alluded to earlier, they got to be licking their chops too. You look at this Falcons team, they've had their struggles. I'll just hit you with the stats here like I always do. But offensively, this team's 27th in the league for points, 26th for yards. Defensively, 29th in points, 24th in yards. You almost look at those, and George, you almost like say, man, credit to them that they're 7-9, right?
I'll tell you what, though, what's scary about the Falcons. Once the Falcons are eliminated from playoff contention every year under Matt Ryan, they're damn near undefeated. They're damn near unbeatable. And it's something that pulls the hair out, the Falcon fans, makes them pull their hair out and go crazy. But there's something about this team that they have a terrible season, but then once they're actually eliminated, they put it all together. So, I mean, they beat us. They beat us earlier this year. You want to look at why we're in this position that we need to count on other teams to win or lose in order for us to advance? Well, there are some games that you can point to. The Giants game, and right there with it is the Falcons game. Games that you can point to on woulda, coulda, shouldas. And the Falcons have beaten us at home, and they could easily beat us again. So you can say, oh, they're vulnerable, but this is a divisional game. This is the Falcons playing to knock us out of the playoffs. This is what they dream for. This is they want to go on a vacation. They already have all their golf outings or trip to Mexico or Belize or North Carolina mountains, what have you. They have that all planned. But nothing would have them packing their bags to first class more than knocking the Saints out of the playoffs. So don't sleep lightly on them, Ron.
And the other thing,
No.
Rob, they'd probably be 32nd in all those offensive categories if it wasn't for the first game they played against the Saints.
Yeah, look, I mean, you look up and down of who they've beaten, and look, I know so much of this is when you play teams, right? And I know I'm going to read off this list, and people are going to say, well, hey, we lost to a couple of those teams, but you just run down their wins at the Giants, home against the Jets, at the Dolphins, at the Saints, at Jacksonville, at Carolina, and then home against the Lions. So, I mean, no world beaters in there, really. And out of playoff teams, we would be the only one. So, yeah, they haven't really beaten any contenders, and I would say that most of their games are not close. So this is a team, George, that, yes, they are going to come in hungry. They are going to come in wanting to play that spoiler role. But if we can get up early, and I know I say this every damn week, but if we could get a first quarter lead or something that includes a touchdown, holy crap, the defense could just start to get rolling, get a little momentum. All of a sudden, I think we see some Chauncey Gardner-Johnson taunts, and we go into the playoffs with some serious confidence and some positive vibes. That in my opinion, that's the way it's got to go. But like we just talked about, it's got to go with some run game. I cannot see Taysom tearing apart any defense at this point. So, George, I don't know. What are your thoughts on, like, matchups, how you think this one's going to play out?
Matt Ryan always plays well against us, man. I mean, we sack him a lot. You referenced Cam Jordan sacking him a lot. But he had our number earlier this year. So one key to victory is the secondary stepping up. Don't have these no names, Zacchaeus and whomever, Russell Gage, Calvin Ridley's still out, but don't have these no names and these Pitts beat you again. First and foremost, Cordell Patterson has found new life as a solidified running back. He's a big guy, a fast guy. There's not a lot on paper that's a bit terrifying about this team, but that's kind of the whole part of the division rivalry. It doesn't matter if you're coming in hot or you're like the Buccaneers, double-digit point favorites. The Saints can always play you tight, and the Falcons can always play the Saints tight. So that's what it comes down to, more emotion than the actual X's and O's and Jeff and Joe's, but just the fact that the Falcons are going to play us gritty and dirty because they're going to want to win. And I think, you can look at the paper and say, oh, man, these guys are schlemiels. They're beatable. How can they hang with us? But, Matt Ryan's a pro's pro. He does his job well. He doesn't get recognized. It's kind of like a Joel Myers, that he just does his job very well, and no one really talks about it because he's not, like, sexy and interesting. But Matt Ryan's a hell of a quarterback, and he alone, with his track record on the Saints, he's looking scary, to answer your question on how we can lose this game.
Yeah, no, you highlighted something there, George, that got my brain thinking. And, these division games in the last couple of weeks of the season look, I'm a Saints fan, so no Saints fan likes Roger Goodell, but that is probably the best thing that he's done since he's been in the role, is backload the schedule with all these divisional games. And I know that we added a 7th playoff team, and heck, we might be the first 7th seed playoff team. No complaints there. So that contributes to a lot more teams being in the hunt. But Jay, what are your thoughts on these late division games? Even when one team has nothing to play for, it's still just it's got everybody eyes on, and anything could happen, and you don't necessarily always have those teams that are truly mailing it in.
Yeah, I'll give it to the NFL, as wonderful of a product as the National Football League is. They're always self-evaluating in an effort to get better, whether it's extending the draft to 3 days, the way that they publicize and free agency, just every little thing, adding a week to the season, making it more interesting. They do a really good job with that. Ron, that Falcons Saints game, it feels like a long time ago, almost feels like 10 years ago. But if you remember, the Falcons were kicking our ass for about 3 quarters, and fourth quarter Trev came up just short after our boy Paulson Adebo, one of the few mishaps he's had this season, when the aforementioned Cordero Patterson got behind him on the deep route. So yeah, don't think that
that wasn't Trev coming up short. That was the defense letting us down, honestly. Well, you could argue too little, too late, but hey, fourth quarter Trev led the comeback. Yeah,
but like George said, Matt Ryan is still a top 10 quarterback in this league. Looking at his numbers from last game, 23 for 30, 343 yards, 2 touchdowns. The good news is Kyle Pitts did not practice today with a hamstring injury, who Matt Ryan has relied upon heavily. And hopefully, the Saints have been riddled by their own injuries, and Pitts isn't able to go. But yeah, by no means is this a shoo-in. There's a lot more games on the schedule thus far this season I've been more confident about. But I'm confident in the sense that this game is happening at the juncture that it is, and the Saints have a lot more to play for than the Falcons.
George, I'll give you a stat that I think a lot of people heard on the radio going into this past week. I don't know, clearly somebody at WWL, it caught their attention, and so they started flashing it. The Saints were 1-6 in their last 7 home games, or 1-7 in the last 8. It was getting real ugly there. Notched the second win. So that kind of begs the question too, like, is it a good thing that this game's on the road? Like maybe kind of eliminate any kind of home distractions there and just stick to business. Like we've always complimented this team being a solid road team. Any advantage there?
Well, Ron, I think we found the key to victory in the Superdome is to not do the Houdat chant. So we may have alleviated those prior woes on the poor record at home. But in all seriousness, without any superstition, we know defense travels, and there's something about this team that their bond strengthens when it goes on the road. For some reason, when we travel, we create more turnovers, and the defense just keeps stepping up. I know we did at home versus Carolina, but on the road, this defense just seems to have so much fun playing the bad guy, bullying the offense, taking the ball away, and finding a way to win. And that's what this will come down to this weekend. It'll come down to the no fans in Atlanta. It's going to be one of those weird atmospheres where the game means so much to us, but not that much to the opposition. And in the end, it'll just be the grit of who wants it more. And it'll be our defense on the road, galvanizing together as we're all scoreboard watching the Niners and Rams to take us to the promised land, Ron.
And Ron, what's the breakdown on Niners and Rams with equal importance this weekend?
Oh man. So look, if people don't know, that's it. Like that's all we're looking at. With the Vikings lost, the Eagles got a shoe into the playoffs. I think there is a scenario in which we could flip-flop with them and we could jump them for the 6th seed and them get the 7th, but more than likely they're going to be the 6th seed and we're vying for that 7th seed with the 49ers. So yeah, that's a ridiculous matchup there because you got quarterback finger issues in San Fran with Jimmy Garoppolo, and you got Trey Lance and just the unknown. Like he hadn't really panned out. Still a little bit of a head-scratching draft pick, in my opinion, at least. And because you got a contending team all around him, and I don't know, it just seemed like a weird pick. But yeah, you've got quarterback finger drama there. You've got the Rams, who thankfully are motivated because the Cardinals came up with that big win, George, like we talked about. That was huge for the incentive of that game. And so now Rams are playing to lock up the division, lock up the 2 seed. And so it is kind of weird, Saints fans, Rons. You can be rooting for the Rams this week, but not next week because that's who we'd match up with. And so, yeah, it's just a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of crazy emotions going on. But, George, yeah, what's your take on that one? What's your vibe? I haven't checked the number. We can check in with the Godfather later on that matchup. But what are you thinking, Rams, Niners?
It'll scare us at first, but the Rams are going to pull it off. The Rams, they have a lot to play for, thank goodness. It'd be terrible if they didn't because they're vying for that 1 seed. And then the Niners. Jimmy Garoppolo is out there today saying, oh, my goodness, my finger hurts. It hurts to throw the football. And Trey Lance, he's athletic, but does he have an actual comprehension of that offense? I don't think so. I don't know. What goes back around, you said something interesting that made me think about Aaron Rodgers, is that they offered that 3rd overall pick to Packers for A-Rod. And we'll see how this season plays out to see if that offer was ridiculous or not, because if the Packers lose quickly in the playoffs and A-Rod walks, then you're like, man, they really should have traded for that 3rd overall pick. And where would each team be had that trade happen is a very different discussion. But back to the question at hand, it's going to be wacky, but what will end up happening is the Saints will win and the Rams will win to push the Saints to the 7th seed. And to me, that is what we said going into the season would validate this season as a success. And think of the adversity. Think of COVID, Ida, Mike Thomas. The amount of players that we've missed is an ungodly amount. It's as though our rivals have voodoo dolls on all of our players. And yet, to overcome all of that, 4 quarterbacks, no Kamara, and still make it to the playoffs would be a monumental achievement
No offensive line.
for this team. So it's going to happen, Ron, and we should all walk valiantly to the promised land.
One thing to note, Ron, is Kyle Shanahan has won 5 straight head-to-head matchups against Sean McVay.
Oh, dude, little McVay's got to know that too.
Little brother's mad.
Yeah, dude. Wait,
My haircut's better than yours.
No, that's huge, man. No, that's good bulletin board material right there. So, yeah, no, everybody's gonna have their eyes on that one. And George, what they got us still sitting at noon, and then the Niners are right after us, so it's gonna be dedicated watching.
No, dude.
Is that right?
We're both at 3. Another thing the NFL does.
Oh, right.
So the
You
games
corrected
just
me
mean
about
more.
that.
I know. I already forgot. Damn it. Yeah. So wait. Yeah. Saints fans are going to be like clicking over back and forth, red zone, however you got to do it. Get your updates in, but that's what you're going to be eyeing on. And yeah, man. One thing we didn't talk about is the just notorious home field advantage that the Falcons have. You know, those fans, they pack in there, they get real rowdy, real loud. I mean, I just don't know how Taysom's even going to hear the play call coming in. Yeah, no, it's going to be a tea party in there. Defense is going to hush them, and it's going to be just another factor that motivates this team. I feel like they love going in to the old George Dome, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, whatever they're calling it these days. Looks like a butthole from space. But anyway, we're going to go in there, and we're going to freaking silence whatever's left of that crowd in there. So, yeah. All right. So, speaking of Atlanta, speaking of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, we got to get what the weather's going to be like out there on the East Coast. So, we got to kick it to the man, the myth, the legend. He's back. The prodigal weatherman has returned. Red, the weatherman.
Hey, Rons, it's Red, the weatherman. And this Sunday, January 9th at 3:25, your 8-8 New Orleans Saints are heading on over to take on the Atlanta Falcons, who are sitting at 7-9. And they'll be playing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which I'd like to point out has a retractable roof, Rons. And let's go ahead and take a look at the weather to see if that roof will be open or closed. With a high of 61 degrees, it's going to feel like 57 degrees. I'm looking at a 59% chance of rain with 98% cloud coverage in the immediate area with a southeast wind at 9 to 22 miles per hour. I'm expecting the weather conditions to be gloomy, and it's going to be the beginning of a cold front as the temperatures are dropping about 20 degrees the next day. I'm predicting the roof will be closed. And remember, Rons, before you check a quick weather app, check with Red, the weatherman.
All right, Red, welcome back, bro. Don't ever leave us again. You might get Wally pipped around here. Okay, look, I got one question here, and this one's coming from our boy Finn and Connick. And look, he heard you, George. He was saying, look, since y'all are so keen on my absences and disappearances, did PJ Williams and Jeff Heath show the replaceability of Marcus Williams in his absence this past week?
I think Bigfoot more likely wrote that question than Finn and Chronic Jr. himself. You know what, Ron? That's been the mark of this season, is these no names like Throckmorton, even JT Gray at safety, because PJ Williams went out in the first half, coming in and stepping up. It's been, I mean, don't bring up the Dolphins game when I'm saying guys stepping up, because that, come on, that was an anomaly. But beyond that, I mean, guys we've never heard of. Jalen Holmes. Who's this DT52 that we've been seeing? Help me out, Ron. I'm getting tired. I should know this off the top of my head. Big dude from the Packers. He's been playing great. Werner, we didn't know who we really had in him. Debo, these young, no-name guys stepping up all year. has been so fun to watch. It's kind of like why you watch a team over the course of a season, to watch players develop, to watch the storylines of guys coming in. So, again, as I kind of referenced a minute ago, it's a great tip of the hat. You have to give a nod to DA and Sean Payton for a hell of a coaching job to put these guys in, and even they succeed. It shows you they've really developed a great gumbo, and you can add any ingredient.
George, I got no assist for you there. If you did have a 52, he ain't on this roster I'm looking at. He might have been one of those COVID promotees, and then was sent right back down. I don't know, but yeah, I thought it was a lot of good guys to see back in there this past week. I think I saw some Caden Ellis action getting back in there. We had Zach Bond getting on the big screen at one time, hyping up the crowd. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, no, it was good. The one thing I'll say about Marcus Williams being out, one, it was Sam Darnold, and it was bad Sam Darnold. It wasn't week 2 Sam Darnold. So they weren't exactly challenging us downfield.
Started out 9 for 9.
But on the dang touchdown run, oh man, that was a Marcus Williams-esque tackle by Jeff Heath. I mean, he just absolutely olayed him. Terrible angle, terrible effort. Didn't want that contact. Didn't want any part of it. And I noticed right after that, PJ Williams started getting in some rundown snaps. And sure enough, comes in on the safety blitz, gets us that huge sack fumble. What you got, George?
PJ Williams has made play after play this year. He's a guy, I think in his first 2 seasons only played 3 games, but he's going to get paid by somebody. I don't know what his contract is. Marcus Williams got franchise tagged, so they have a decision to make on him. If PJ can stay healthy, he's showed enough where he can be adequate, more than that, and just the plays that he's made, sacks, forcing fumbles, recovering fumbles, the interception return against the Patriots. He's been a playmaker in that secondary. And I feel like over the course of this season, before the season we were talking about, or I was talking about the potential of this offensive line being the best offensive line in Saints history, and that seems like eons ago now. But we were also talking about the lack of depth in this secondary. One guy that we haven't talked about is Chris Richard, the defensive backs coach, formerly the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys when they whooped our ass a couple years ago in Dallas. Not only DA, but give it up for those position coaches who have both offensively and defensively have had to coach these guys up that aren't getting the reps, that aren't your Ramrods, that aren't your Armsteads, that even aren't your Patrick Robinsons, and guys like C.D. Deuce. I mean, he was known as a good player before this year and a guy that talks a lot of shit, that has entrenched himself in this city, and we all love him for that, to this year taking his level of play up to, wow, this dude needs to be known on an NFL level scale for what he's bringing on the field, not with his mouth, which is great, not with his leadership, which is elite, but what he's doing as far as being a playmaker and a defender. I mean, so you talk about guys in addition to Lattimore, Roby, Adebo, and you think of Adebo, you think of PJ Williams, you think of C.D. Deuce. I mean, the secondary's been playing great.
Ron, did you say – go ahead.
Go.
What did you say about the Jumbotron earlier?
I said Zach Bond was on the Jumbotron.
You said Zach Bond was on the Jumbotron?
Yeah.
Was anyone else on the Jumbotron?
Oh, well, Jorge, look, when you get the upgrade to the club, camera finds the club. I got to shout out my boy Drew. Had a very special wedding ceremony this past weekend. 1 year delayed for COVID. And day after, we had plans to go to the Saints game. And we were just going to sit in the usual 326, right? Nothing against 326. I love the home 326. But when you get that upgrade to row 6, 337, you don't say no, George. And look, the camera loves the club. Jay, we talk about Army. Camera loves Mike Vitti. Camera loves the club, baby. But Jay, you will love this about PJ Williams. Maybe you won't. I don't know. It's bad for him, but it's also awesome to see. He has signed 3 straight one-year deals with the Saints ever since his rookie contract. So, I mean, like, clearly there's a relationship where, like, we want you on the team, but, like, we're not ready to fully commit long-term.
Good for him, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy keeps betting on himself, and
Well,
I think
he
you're
won.
right.
He
I
won
think
this year.
Yeah, he's definitely shown that he is a very serviceable guy. I don't know if he's a starting corner. He's probably somebody starting, CJ Gardner-Johnson in terms of, that nickel back. So,
Well, Ron,
no.
I think that it comes down to we finally found the way to use him because we put him on the island and that never really succeeded. But now he's the backup to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's role as that backup guy playing that nickel / Roman Harper / linebacker / jackal role. One quick thing, Montravius Adams was that number 52 I couldn't think of.
Oh,
He was moved
yeah.
to our practice
I think it's
squad.
Montravius.
Right, Montravius Adams. Steelers plucked him off our practice squad. Now he's doing great. Guys, there was a no name, well, a big name, I should say. I mean, a long name, I should say, who was really stepping up for us. Tano Passignon was playing fantastic and then disappeared. What happened there, Ron?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. He hit the injury report, and he was never to be heard from again. I don't even know what the injury was. Do you remember, George?
That's what I'm saying. It seemed like a day-to-day injury, and now it's gone on for half the year like Armstead and Ramrod.
There were sightings of him and Peyton Turner in Cancun last week.
Another one who's like, I mean, he doesn't even show up on the injury report anymore. It's just like, don't ask about him. Just don't even talk about him. It's literally like Marcus Davenport, who I will have y'all know is back in his natural habitat on the injury report, did not practice.
Lay
It's
off
just-
of Marcus. Lay off.
I mean, if he doesn't practice tomorrow, I ain't laying off of him. By the way, this is Wednesday, y'all. We're recording Wednesday night.
Wednesday.
So, yeah. All right, George, it is Wednesday night, and it's time to start gearing up for the weekend. It's time to start, eat these meals at home, save your spending money so that you can spend it on maybe some prospective prop bets. And we got just the guy for that, the Godfather.
What do you hear? What do you say, Ron's week 18? Back at it for more. Big week for the Saints. Let's get right to it. 4.5, laying 4.5 on the road at the new Georgia Dome, whatever the hell they call it, the ugliest stadium in the league. Looks like the Falcons may not have Kyle Pitts this week. Must win. I just got a good feeling about this. Saints are road warriors. Give me the Saints. Laying 4.5. We'll use 4.5. Other than it's just a feeling. The Saints are Taysom. What is he? 6-2 as a starter. Saints are 5-3 on the road this year. Must win. Saints defense will come to play. Let's take the Saints to lay the points. All right. Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Always a field goal game. Why the Ravens are laying 6 points right now, I don't know. But let's take Big Ben's last hurrah in this old AFC North rivalry. Let's lay the 6 with the Steelers. That'll be a field goal game one way or another. It always is. Okay. Indianapolis and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Indianapolis Colts are 16-point favorites on the road. Now, the Jaguars are a horrible team. They're really bad. They're not that bad. The Colts aren't that good either. I think people are inflating this because the Colts need to win this game. Give me Jacksonville plus the 16. I think maybe I got an egg on my face Sunday afternoon, but I don't know. 16. That's Too many points. Give me the Chargers -3 Sunday Night Football. Vegas. It's in Vegas. I think Justin Sherbert. I don't think he's too happy about all the Joe Burrow is Tom Brady talk. I expect a great game from him in a must-win spot for them. I like the Chargers -3. And last, Saints fans, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like this one at all. But San Francisco at LA. There's nothing at LA about anything. There are no football fans in Los Angeles. That'll be a home game for the 49ers. They're getting 4 points, 4.5 at some places. Unfortunately, I think San Francisco covers the 4 and wins outright. Sean McVay, stupid face. If you think that the Rams and that douchebag are going to do anything, and look, they got to win. They got to win for themselves. But if you think that they're going to do anything positive that's going to help the Saints, you haven't been paying attention. Stafford, choke artist. McVay, horrible coach. Shanahan, much better. Maybe the Rams win late. They get a field goal and win it late. But I just I got a bad feeling about that one. So I think the Saints take care of business, but unfortunately, we got to rely on Sean McVay, and it's never a good place to be relying on him in a divisional game where he's got the better players, but when he looks across the sideline, he's looking across the sideline at a better coach. All right, that's it for Week 18. Rons, you have a good week. Back to the triumvirate of Ron Nation, George, Ron, and Jay.
Thank you, Godfather, as always. But Jay, I want to say something about you just said. You can attack Davenport. You better be on a stretcher. You better have some cancer growing out of the side of your neck. If the playoffs are on the line and you're on the fence if you can play and you don't play, that's inexcusable. That's some Mike Thomas bullshit. We need Davenport. We need Armstead. We need Ramrod. If they have 2 feet and 2 hands and are better than Jordan Mills, which isn't saying much, this is the time. So no,
that's what I'm saying. My boy will be there. Look at him. He's been toughing it out. Everybody was giving him shit for being on the injury table, but he was just getting retaped. My boy's getting tougher and tougher.
Yeah, and he was getting retaped for this friggin' ankle that he ain't able to practice with. So yeah,
I'll shave a fleur-de-lis into my head if Davenport doesn't start Sunday.
There you go. Let's see it, dude. It's on tape now.
Yeah,
I would never.
And y'all are
put my
never going to
locks
see it
on Davenport's record. There, no chance, Jay. Gosh,
that was dumb.
Yeah,
Shit,
boy.
You just bet on Davenport to play.
Take this guy to the fairgrounds. He knows how to pick his horses.
Yeah, I guess the only prediction I got right was Ninkovich being a Pro Bowler.
Oh, okay. Going all the way back now, huh?
Yeah, I listened.
Full week.
Speaking of going back, dude, Davenport's got to get like Colston's cryotherapy or something like that. He's got to get the hyperbaric chamber or whatever the heck it is. Because, dude, this dude is just – he's glass, man. He is Mr. Glass. But you're right. Like, if we don't pay him, somebody's going to pay him. So, like, we're going to pay him. And, that's what it's going to be. So,
Ron, that can't be all of our questions. I know we got more.
No, I think we got one more, George, and it's a fun one, a little look ahead one for you. And this one, I mean, I don't even want to know what this is, George. From Finnan's Unflushed Surprises, we got after we beat the Rams in the Super Wild Card weekend, which I guess we'll talk about that next week. Would Taysom throw the ball more than 10 times against the Packers?
I mean, what you really, really need to hope for is we all go fly up or drive up or train up to Wisconsin, and we would need to bring whatever prayer candles we need to bring to make it happen for Mother Nature to come in hard.
Does
And
Pro Saints Talk go?
Pro Saints Talk goes, and what we need is a
Ooh.
blizzard. We need awful, windy conditions so that no one can throw. And that alleviates the A-Rod threat. So we're not worried about having to score as much as A-Rod. And the only way we can win would be if both teams have to run the entire game, and then clickbait in our defense, boom, outperforms the Packers in that type of environment. That's how you win that game.
That actually sounds like a winning recipe. I mean, I'm not going to lie. So, wait, George, I lied. There is one more.
Ron, wait. So we go to Lambeau if we get to the divisional?
Oh, dude, I mean, I got to look at my weekends. I got to line that up.
Oh,
Jay,
come on.
I'm in. Jay, I'm in.
Let's go.
You're going to have that flurry on your head as we go to Green Bay.
Might get a
Ron,
little
if
chilly
we're
around
going-
the ears.
If we're going, you're not going. We'll go pick up Chuck. And
We'll need the weatherman.
bring the weatherman. And then we'll go all the way to Green Bay. But hey, give us that Zulu stew question because I got a good answer for that one.
And we'll do a
Okay, all
live pod. We'll do a live pod from the car or RV.
Jay, I'm serious. You lose a lot of body heat through the head, man. It might be a little chilly.
Dude,
So,
ask
all
the
right.
father-in-law for the RV that weekend.
Dude, it's the off season for LSU. It's in the service station, dude. It's when
Dude.
all the preventive maintenance gets done. All right, look, Zulu Stew has got the question right here, and I'll give each of y'all a turn at this one. So, George, sound like you were licking your chops for this one. Who was the biggest loss from last year's team to this year's team? I would have loved to do this one after the Super Bowl when our season finally comes to a championship ending. But sure, we can be retrospective now.
Blue Day.
With the resurgence of Cam Jordan, the obvious answer is Trey Hendrickson, so we're not going to say that anyway. Emmanuel Sanders is a pretty damn solid wide receiver. What do the Saints not have is a wide receiver. Man, I would trade my left pinky for the Saints to have a wide receiver this year. Even Cyril Grayson from last year's training camp is now actually playing well for the Buccaneers. Some crazy name like that might even be your answer. But number one has got to be, for me, Emmanuel Sanders.
Jay, who you got?
Jameis Winston.
Oh, well, I mean,
we're
I don't think
starting to get the workout videos again. Y'all see those? Well-
that's the intent of the question. I mean, he was your
I know.
starting quarterback.
I know. I mean, what's our list? Trey Hendrickson's the obvious answer.
Yeah, I mean, Trey Hendrickson, you think is the obvious answer. I'll hit you with one.
Jared Cook. Shit.
No, I'm not going to hit you with no Jared Cook. Get out of here, dude. We've
Drew
already mentioned
Brees.
that guy 2 more times than we ever should on this podcast again. No, I'll give you a funny one. Mike Thomas. Heck, Emmanuel Sanders. How about Mike Thomas? But no, I was going to say Drew Brees. I mean, I'll just throw it out there. What would this team be like with Drew Brees? What would this team with this defense? And hey, you know,
What would this
it's
team
the
be like if Jameis did get hurt?
it's the butterfly effect, right? I mean, look, every little thing. Does the defense mature into this if Breeze doesn't leave the building and allow for other leaders to step up and really influence the culture? You know, I think that's a legitimate thing. I think like the absence of Breeze, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis have taken over this team and they've kind of reformed our identity. And I'm here for it. I love it. But I can't help but think, how dangerous would we be on offense? How complete of a team would we be with Brees still at the helm for one more swan song? That's just my 2 cents on that one. All right. Game predictions. It's that time. Who wants it first?
We'll run twofold. I'll go real quick. Twofold. Because our game is meaningless if our boy Sean McVay doesn't come through. Sean McVay, you don't listen to this podcast, but I've said bad things about you. I don't like your style, and I said mean things about you after the Rams knocked us out the Super Bowl NFC Championship. I know you're bright and smart, and I wish you well in life, especially this Sunday. So every mean thing I've said about you, I humbly apologize because we're counting on your offensive brilliance. We're counting on your jet sweeps. We're counting on Cooper Kupp catching the ball all around the field. Do what you gotta do, my man.
No.
Do what you gotta do, my man. Falcons, we're gonna take care of them like we have to. They're not going 2-0 versus us. It's like the Panthers. It's like we belong 1-1 versus them. The water is gonna level out. The Falcons, they're gonna scare us, but Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore is gonna come through in the fourth quarter in a tight game. It's gonna make all of our nails biting off. All of our nails in both games are gonna be tight. We're gonna have to really relax and enjoy this event because, guys, we're going to the playoffs in one of the most roller coaster seasons of our life. Come on, Sean McVay. Do it for us, baby.
Love it, George. Love it. All right. I will go next. So, yeah, I think I am fully confident that McVay is going to take care of business out there. I think they'll get the passing game rolling on the 49ers, and they'll be motivated. No question about that. They'll get the run game going. McVay, he'll have his shiftiness going. Like you said, George, they'll take care of business for us. It'll be a solid 27-24. It'll be tight, like you said, George. I'll agree with that. We might sweat a little bit, but 27-24. Rams are going to TCB. And then I personally think that the Deontay Harris coming back, he's going to break one. I think he's going to have a deep touchdown. Not a special teams. I ain't calling that. I'm tired of calling it. I'm not calling it until it actually happens again in the playoffs. It'll happen next week in the playoffs. But this week, I'm calling like 70-yard bomb to Deontay. I think the defense is tired of getting all these turnovers and seeing them just turn into field goals. So they're like, screw that. We're doing scooping scores now. We're doing pick sixes. I think there's going to be at least one defensive touchdown. And I think we crack the 30s. What? 30 burger on the Falcons. I'm saying 31-17. Super Bowl 44? What? Jay, what you got?
Saints 23, Falcons 17. Matt Ryan attempts a Hail Mary from the Falcons' 46-yard line as time expires. Marcus Williams goes up, doesn't knock it down, but catches it instead. We're saying, what the hell are you doing, Marcus? But the Saints go marching on, watching Rams 49ers, which finishes after us. McVay pulls it out. The Saints are on their way to SoFi. We're back again talking about another game and 1 week closer to the RV trip to Lambeau.
Oh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. All right.
No Thomas Morstead curse.
Ooh, dude, didn't even think about that. George, is Morstead giving him insider information?
Yeah, man, bad blood there. That got weird. Morstead is resentful towards the Saints. It's part of the reason why he went to Atlanta. Jay started talking in his tone, and now I can't help it. 15 and a half hours to Green Bay. Ron, can the RV handle that?
I don't know. It's kind of old.
We might need to take
a lot of miles.
Fuel efficient.
Yeah, the Elantra could definitely make it, no doubt. Dude, now I'm thinking about, like, damn, does JT Gray get a block on Morstead? I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking
we leave Saturday morning like it's 6 a.m.
Why is it so funny?
Yeah, talk to your wife, Ron.
It's 2 weeks away. All right, George, closing thoughts?
Guys, Super Bowl bound through Green Bay. Join the train. Let's go party.
Jay, closing thoughts?
Oh, man. I really don't want this to be our last one, Ron. It's been a hell of a year. It always goes by so fast. Savor every play like fine crab meat at Galatoire's this weekend. And hopefully we get to eat that crab meal just one more time and then another time in Lambeau. And we'll report live from Lambeau for you guys because we love y'all so much. Ron?
All right. I'm holding in my hand the winning Powerball ticket for tonight, $630 million. When we win this one, y'all, we're buying a brand new RV to go up to Lambeau, baby. We're taking the whole PST crew. I'm talking every contributor to this podcast, fans, you name it. We're all going to the Super Bowl, baby. So that's it. That's the vibes that we're going into Atlanta with. And Pro Saints Talk, we out here going to the Yoffs.
Sean McVay, you can do it.
You can do it.
That's right. It's crunch time now, fellas. No time to be crying for mama now. It's the movement. Come on. To all my people on them corners, I consider as dogs. I wish I could break a package down and send it to y'all. I know you're feeling me behind them penitentiary walls. Put me on a visit, listen, I'll be in to see y'all. Talk to him. Your mayor ain't your friend, he's an enemy.